Good morning. So today's lesson we're going to have a look at solving equations using function machines. So we're going to have a look at one-step and two-step function machines to solve equations. Okay, so first of all, let's just check we understand what we mean by an equation. So as it says, an equation links an algebraic expression and a number or two algebraic expressions with an equal sign. An example of this might be x plus 7 equals 13. So x plus 7 is an expression linked to the number 13 by an equal sign. Now, when we see an equation like this, we usually want to find the value of the unknown. So in this case, finding the value of x. Okay, and we might be able to do that really simply by looking at that and thinking, well, something plus 7 needs to equal 13. What could the value of x be? And hopefully we would know that x equals 6. So for very simple equations, we might just be able to work those out in our heads. But we're going to have a look at using some function machines to try and work out some slightly more complex equations. So a function machine is a way of describing the different steps that an equation goes through to get an answer. So we start with an input. So if this is our example, x plus 5 equals 13, our input is our value x. We put x into the function machine. The first thing that's happened to x is that we've then added 5. So that's our first operation. And our output is the value 13. To be able to solve this for the value of x, we do what we call an inverse operation. So we run the function machine in reverse, starting with the output. And as we reverse it, we change the symbols to their inverse, their opposites. So if we start with 13, instead of adding 5, we do the opposite, which is subtracting 5. And 13 subtract 5 leaves us with 8. So our answer is x equals 8. It's always a good idea just to check this by putting your solution back into the equation. So we're going to substitute the value of x for 8. And if we do that, 8 plus 5 equals 13, then it's correct. So let's have a look at a couple more then. So this time we've got 5x equals 45. So 5x means 5 multiplied by x equals 45. So again, we'll start with x being our input. The function that's happened to x is that it's been multiplied by 5 this time, and our output is 45. So if we do the inverse of that, we start with 45. The inverse of multiplying by 5 is dividing by 5. 45 divided by 5 equals 9. So our solution is x equals 9. Again, just to check, if we do 5 times 9, we do get 45. The next one then, we've got 6 plus x equals 17. So again, we're going to start with our input of x. Now the 6 is still a positive 6, so we've added 6 and we've got an output of 17. So we'll do the inverse. 17 subtract 6 is 11. So our solution to this equation, x equals 11. Again, let's just check. Substituting in 11 for x, we get 6 plus 11 equals 17, which is correct. Okay, if you pause the video now, there are some for you to have a go with just to make sure you've got those correct. Okay, here are the solutions, so you can check your answers through. Make sure you're happy with them. Note that some of them are negative numbers, so we do have positive and negative numbers. If you're not sure on negative numbers, draw yourself a number line from -20 up to 20 and use that to help you. Okay, we're now going to move on then to what we call a two-step equation. So a two-step equation is where there are two functions involved. So looking at our first one, again, our input is going to be x. Now the first thing that's happened to x this time is that it's been multiplied by 3. We've then added 4 and our output is 19. You'll notice this time I've not drawn the boxes around those values. That just saves us a little bit of time. So if we reverse the function, then we'll start with 19. Instead of adding 4, we subtract 4. And instead of multiplying by 3, we divide by 3. So 19 subtract 4 is 15. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Our solution x equals 5. If we again want to check that, we substitute x for the value of 5, remembering that 3x means 3 times 5. So 3 times 5 plus 4 is indeed 19. We've got that one right. Looking at the one on the right hand side then, exactly the same, but we've changed the letter this time. So we're using the letter A. So A is our input. The first thing that's happened to A is that it's been multiplied by 2. We've then subtracted 6 and our output is 10. So let's do the inverse. So starting with 10, instead of minusing 6, we're going to add 6. Instead of multiplying by 2, we're going to divide by 2. So 10 plus 6 is 16, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So our answer this time, A equals 8. Again, check by substitution. 2 times 8 minus 6 is 10. So we've again got that one correct. A few more then for you to have a go at. So again, pause the video, have a go at these and see how you do. Okay, the solutions then, so you can check your answers. How did you do with those? Okay, finally today then, we're going to have a look at what happens when we do worded questions. So our first question, James thinks of a number. Whenever it says he thinks of a number, we need to give that a letter. That's our unknown, and you can use any letter that you like. He multiplies it by 7 and adds 5. The answer is 47. We need to write that as an equation. So if we think about what's happened there then, we've got our number. Let's say we're going to call it x. Now we multiplied it by 7. Remember, when we show something multiplied by a number, that number goes in front of the letter. We don't use the times sign. So we've got 7x. And then we're going to add 5. And the answer is 47. So we should have 7x plus 5 equals 47. Now we need to solve the equation to find James's number. So again, using the function machine method, have a go with that. Okay, so the solution for that one then, x would equal 6. Question 2. The angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Write down an equation in terms of x. So this time they've told us to use the letter x. So when it says in terms of, that simply means that that's the letter they'd like us to use. So the angles in a triangle, we know, add up to 180. So our equation should be x plus the 72 plus 38 equals 180. Again, pause the video, take a moment, see if you can solve the equation to find the value of x. Okay, so if we do 180 minus 38 and minus 72, our solution, x equals 70 degrees. So that's the end of today's lesson on solving one-step and two-step equations. Next time we'll be looking at multiplying out brackets and solving equations with brackets.